Hello, people. So nice to see everybody. Oh my goodness, all these comments already. Yay, everybody's here. Oh my goodness, I missed you guys yesterday. I didn't set up a live stream and then I came home from work and I was like, oh, I don't have anybody to talk to. But I'm back. You're back and I'm super excited to be here. Couple of things. So first of all, I don't know how many of you know that the Courtney Clenny trial, which was scheduled to start in April, has been postponed again until I don't know. They're looking at late August. I can't remember what the reason for the delay was now. My brain is full of other things, but so there's that one, and there's also Letitia Stauch. For those of you who remember Letitia Stauch, who murdered her stepson Gannon, and then claimed her defense, I believe, was that she was like mentally ill at the time or whatever. She tried to have she tried to have an insanity plea. Anyway, and she was convicted, and then she put in an appeal, and she won. Today she won that appeal. So apparently there's a three judge panel in Colorado, and she got a new trial, no whiskers. Yeah. So she apparently there was a juror whose stepson was working for the same office as the district attorneys, in the district attorney's office, same office as the prosecutor. And I guess they were aware of this at the time, and the defense made a motion to have this juror removed, and the judge ruled against them. And so now the appeal court has said that this is structural error. So she's going to be convicted again. I'm sure of it. I'm interested to see if she's going to try a different defense this time. I don't think that she's obligated, right, to use the same defense. So I'm very curious to see. I will definitely be streaming that when it happens. I mean, we're probably looking at a couple of years away, I would think, right? They have to, or I don't know. I genuinely don't know. If people know better than me, I'm sure many of you do. Please let me know. Like, do they have a case already planned, or do they just work on the appeal and then once they win the appeal, they start working on their case? I don't know. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to mention is that, oh God, what's his name? I keep forgetting his name. That the singing Caleb Flynn, the singing pastor. So Boss Lady's not here, but she texted me yesterday about this. So apparently, do you all know this case? The singing pastor who murdered his wife while their two children slept in the other room, and then pretended that there had been a home invasion, not a home invasion, but a robbery gone wrong. And then in the 911 call, he actually says, she's got 2 shots to the head, which I guess is quite telling because it might not have been that. Yes, he was on American Idol. Yes. So it's all very recent, Billie Jean. This has just happened. It was March 16th, I think, was the murder. But he is turning down his right to a speedy trial. And no, he's not. Sorry, he's not waiving his right to a speedy trial. And so as it stands right now, his trial is set for April 28th, which is coming right up. There's a status hearing on the 6th, so we'll see. I have my suspicions that his lawyers are going to talk him into not going for the speedy trial, but if the trial happens, then maybe I'll stream that one, because I was quite disappointed about the Courtney Clenny one. I was starting to get ready. I already have a thumbnail all ready for the trial. I was going to do a trial prep video the night before and make sure everybody was up to speed and everything, and now it's postponed until the end of the summer, it looks like. So that, and I wanted to mention Pam Bondi was fired today. Woohoo! Whoever replaces her will probably be worse. Unfortunate, but still, she was an apologist for the Jeffrey Epstein people, so I'm glad to see the backside of her. And also, I just wanted to give a shout out to the Artemis crew, Artemis 2 crew, who successfully made it into orbit yesterday. So, yay. Don't know how many of you, probably a lot of you, watched the Challenger. All those many years ago when it exploded up. Yeah, the Clenny trial. I don't know. It's 4 years already, right? I don't know. You should have seen her in the courtroom too. She's all shaking her hair and smiling, chatting away with the I don't know. There was a corrections officer that was talking to her or whatever, smiling for the cameras and playing it up. Seemed like she was having herself a grand old time. So, I guess the Miami jail is not that bad a place to be. She's been there for quite some time, and she seems to be. I don't know. She looked all right to me. Anyway, so Jodi Arias. So I was listening. That was the OnlyFans. Courtney Clenny, is that who you're asking about? The OnlyFans model. Who, yes, stabbed her boyfriend Christian Obamseli. They had an extremely toxic and volatile relationship, and it was literally no surprise that it ended up the way that it did. And she, like so many of her ilk, is claiming self-defense, that he attacked her. I didn't see the ring, Gabby, but yeah, Letitia Stout was, holy crow. Talk about a piece of work. So I was listening to, so this Jodi Arias trial, I kind of bit off a little more than I could chew, I think, when I first undertook to cover it, because it is so long. And I just don't have the wherewithal to cover it all. So I am going to pick and choose the parts that I want to watch. And I've been through, like, there's just so much of it, and literally Jodi is on the stand herself for like 18 days or something. So I'm just going to kind of pick and choose a bit. So what I thought we would start today just with her testimony, when she's being it's the direct examination from the defense. So I thought we just watch the first few minutes of it and then skip ahead quite a bit. So the first few minutes of it just gives you a sense of how she's going to present herself on the stand. And then they spend literally like an hour and a half going through her entire life story to get to the point before she even meets Travis. And it's they're basically, to my mind, basically what they're trying to establish is that her parents were abusive, and that is why she was willing to accept their second point, which is that she accepted a lot of abuse from various boyfriends and all of this before she ever met Travis. So they're sort of setting the stage for this. You know, she was according to her parents were big fans of capital punishment, and they beat her and her brothers regularly with belts and hairbrushes and wooden spoons and anything that they had to hand. And it continued. The intensity grew worse over the years. And as she was a teenager, she was constantly just sort of being pushed and shoved around. Hi, Inner Psychic. By her parents, who would just shove her into walls and doors and furniture and stuff like that. So they're setting the stage for, like, oh, she had this abusive childhood, and then she had all these abusive boyfriends. And so, hi, Carolyn. And so when she met Travis, she was primed to tolerate his abuse. And then you'll see how they depict the relationship between them. But Anyway, so that's where I thought we would start today. Because yeah, I just don't think I can get through this whole trial. And I'm even going to pick and choose through her testimony because it's just insanely long. And even at 1.5, I have no idea if her parents did that to her, Anders. What I know is that that's what she claims. I was curious if people know know what her parents look like. I meant to look up her parents and see what they look like, because I don't know if they're in the courtroom or not, but if they are, she's talking some pretty harsh stuff about them. But yeah, she presents herself. You'll see. I want to play the beginning because you can see how she presents herself in this very in this very soft spoken tone, like she's just this very fragile, innocent, badly treated person, right? They repeatedly have to ask her to speak up because she's speaking so quietly and stuff. And I think it's possibly genuine that she does speak like that, but I just think that that's her mask, right? Is this innocent, this sweet, butter wouldn't melt persona. So she has been to the bathroom. The jury is out of the room. The defense has rested. And they're going to put her up on the stand before the jury comes back in the room. So that's where we are. So let's get started, shall we? Here we go.
Ms. Arias, you may come forward and take a seat, please. You can line the jury up. Line up the jury.
Are you talking about Jodi there? Having a normal upbringing?
Please enter the jury.
Please be seated. The record will show the presence of the jury, the defendant, and all counsel. Mr. Nurmi,
I believe Ms. Harrison to be sworn.
calling your client.
Yes, the defense calls Jodi Arias.
Ms. Arias, please stand to be sworn.
Please right hand. You can solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Please be seated. You may proceed.
Thank you. Hi, Jodi.
Hi.
How are you feeling right now?
Nervous.
I want to ask you, well, let me ask you this. Is this a position you ever thought you would find yourself in, testifying here today?
The objection. Approach, please.
I love him, like, right away. They're trying to, like, how are you, Jodi? He's like, objection, relevance. Did you ever think you'd be here? Objection, relevance. Right off the get-go. He's not taking any shit from these guys. Yeah, so literally I'm just gonna go to the next video, because literally it's like up until it's an hour and 47 minutes here, and then another hour before they get to her even meeting Travis. And it's literally what I just
We're starting earlier.
It's all just setting the stage of she was abused by everyone in her life, and she behaved as a model citizen throughout. And that sets the stage for, you know, her being accepting of the abuse that Travis apparently heaped on her and caused her to kill him. So here we go.
It was something I sort of dreaded because I knew it wasn't going to last, but we hadn't discussed it. I
Sorry, she still has a boyfriend at the time that she meets Travis, and she's talking about the state of their relationship right now.
don't know where he was with things. I figured he was kind of in the same realm. I didn't realize his feelings were as deep for me as he said when he was on the stand. We had that conversation about a year later, about 8 months afterward, where he told me that, which surprised me. So I just kind of figured he was in another place and I was in another place.
Okay. So you purchased this ticket for this convention, and this was in Las Vegas?
Those are Travis's siblings in the audience there, shooting daggers at her, if you weren't aware.
Okay. Was there a specific location for this event?
Yes, it was held at the MGM Grand.
So do you then, did you go to this convention?
Yes.
Okay, and how did you get there?
I drove to Hemet and parked my car at Michelle's house, and we took her. She had a brand new Honda Accord, so it was real spacious. And she and Lenore and I all drove the three of us carpooled to Las Vegas.
Okay. And you mentioned this person, Lenore. Was this a friend of yours or a stranger to you at the time?
She became a friend. That was the first day I met her, and she was also a recruit of Michelle's.
So you go off to Las Vegas, and these people are virtually strangers to you. Is that what I'm hearing?
Michelle and I would talk occasionally and text. I was comfortable around her. She was almost my mother's age, maybe slightly younger. So I was comfortable around her, but I didn't know her very well.
And to this point,
So just if people don't know, she's going to a conference for prepaid legal, which is that's where Travis works, and she has been signed up. It's a multi-level marketing company that sells prepaid legal services, basically. And, you know, you pay a certain amount every month, and then if you need it, you have it.
point in time, it sounds like you hadn't been active in the company at all. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Other than buying a membership?
Yeah, that's true.
All right.
Wasn't really looking forward to going, but I figured I should give it an honest shot.
Okay. Did you know anyone else that was going to be at this convention besides your two companions?
I'm sorry?
Did you know anyone else at this convention besides the people you were traveling there with?
No.
Okay. Well, tell us about what happened when you arrived there.
When we arrived, we checked in. There was just a swarm of people everywhere with all their luggage. They were all other associates that were checking in. They were it's a convention of about, I think at the time there were about 12,000 people. So it's in Canada and the US. So all kinds of people from all different walks of life descend onto the MGM Grand for this convention. And not everyone stays at the MGM Grand, but everyone stays around in Las Vegas. So there were a lot of people checking in. We got to our room. We just kind of relaxed for a little while and then walked around, got lunch, and then later got dinner.
You said our room. What was the accommodations? Were you sharing it with these two ladies?
Yes.
Okay.
I
And
think her mom was also, I can't remember. I think there were 4 of us.
okay. Now, did you get there on the day the convention began, or were you there earlier in the convention?
The convention is on a Friday and Saturday, and we showed up on Wednesday night.
Okay. And what to your understanding anyway, what were you to do at convention? Were you attending classes, attending meetings? What was your purpose in being there?
I didn't understand. I didn't know what to expect. I'd never been there before. She just told me it's gonna be a great event. It's gonna get you fired up. I'd never attended a convention, not that convention, so I didn't really know what to expect.
Okay. And how long were you going to be there?
Well, we were gonna leave Sunday, so 5 days total.
Okay. Is that when the convention ended?
No, my understanding was that it went all day Friday, all day Saturday, and there were smaller team events outside of those.
Okay. And was there a particular team that you were to be involved with at this convention?
Michelle was on Team Freedom, so when she recruited me, that made me part of Team Freedom. No, I'm sorry, I take that back. It was Team Renew. Sorry, there's a lot of different teams in the company. Team Renew, I think, was the name.
Okay. And tell us about what happened. You said you went in your room, you relaxed. What did you do next?
We just wandered around a little. We went out to the swimming pool. There were a lot of people there. I didn't bring a bathing suit. I didn't even think I was thinking business. So I felt, I don't know, it was 100 degrees and everyone was out in bikinis, hanging out, bathing suits, splashing around. So I felt awkward. I was just standing there in my business clothes. You know, I was getting introduced to a lot of people. I couldn't really keep track of everyone. There were a lot of names.
Okay. And you say you had another day before the convention started?
Yes, there was Thursday, and then on Friday was when the convention started.
So what did you do on Thursday?
On Thursday, Michelle, Lenore, and I just went, I don't remember the whole day, but I remember we got dinner at Applebee's across town.
Very much.
We just were having dinner. We just killed time just doing things, running around town.
Were you meeting more associates though as well?
Yeah, before we left the MGM Grand, we walked around and met more people, and I was introduced to more people that she knew.
So there weren't any meetings or anything on Thursday, is that right?
I wasn't aware of any, but I later in that evening, I learned that there was a banquet that occurs the night before convention, and that's the executive director they quit.
While you were at this convention, did you ever meet an individual by the name of Travis Alexander?
Yes.
Describe for us where you were and what was going on when you met Travis Alexander.
On Wednesday night, this would be early September 2006, Michelle, Lenore, and I were with her mother and I think 2 other associates, and we were all sitting around this round table at the Rainforest Cafe, which is inside the casino and the hotel. We were having dinner and we were finishing up dinner, paid our check, and we left. We didn't leave the Rainforest Cafe. We sort of stayed in this kind of lobby area. I don't know how else to- we were right outside the entrance, still indoors. And there's just tons of people everywhere. A lot of them are prepaid legal business associates. So I'm staying close to Michelle. She's the only person I really know. And I'm meeting other people that are on my team, and she introduces me to people that are in my upline and things like that. And there was just a crowd of people everywhere. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw somebody walking toward me, kind of fast paced. And I noticed it was a guy, and I thought he was going somewhere because he looked like he had a purpose. So I stepped out of the way because I thought he needed to walk past me. But he stopped right in front of me and stuck his hand out and introduced himself.
The running theme throughout all of this testimony about Travis that I have so far listened to is that Jodi was the passive recipient of all of his overtures. And she just was like, he acted on her and she just was the innocent, passive person going along with things, but that it was all Travis who maneuvered everything. That's kind of the theme. It's never outright stated, but that's absolutely how it's presented.
And was that Travis?
Yes.
What happened from that point in time?
I have to say that I very much admire Travis's brother's ability to keep that sneer, that look of contempt on his face long term. I have never seen him look at Jodi without that sneer on his face.
Shook his hand and tried to just log the name because there were a lot of people that I was meeting that weekend. So we just kind of milled around the outside of the Rainforest Cafe a little longer, and then our group began to wander throughout the casino, just past restaurants.
Right? Billy says, I've not watched any of her direct. What strikes me most is how delighted she seems chatting to the jury. She's adoring having a captive audience, literally. And if you think of it, right, in light of Kurt Nurmi's revelations in his book after her, at the end of the trial, that he hated her throughout. And he struggled to keep her focused on the trial because she was all she cared about was the publicity and the attention. So if you like, that's the background of what's going on between these two while the testimony's going on. It's wild to think of it.
And sports bars and the slot machines and all that kind of thing.
And you say your group, does that mean the people you went to the restaurant with?
Yes.
And just so we're clear, Mr. Alexander wasn't part of the lunch you had or dinner, excuse me, at the Rainforest Cafe.
No, he wasn't.
Did he then follow your group around the MGM?
He made it a point to walk with us. He was also on Team Renew, but more like laterally. He was obviously hired as an executive director as far as position in the company. But so he knew all these people. He had met them all before. But as we wandered throughout the casino, he made it a point to walk next to me and keep me engaged in conversation.
Okay.
See that?
Was this late in the evening when this was going on, or?
See that? He made a point. He stayed with me. He did all the chasing. He did all the everything. And I was just the passive recipient of everything.
It was dark out, I think, but I don't recall it being very late.
How did you part company with Mr. Alexander that evening?
Well, after wandering around, we kind of wandered back to the lobby where there's a big golden lion statue, and we took pictures there with some people. And then after a while, I kind of noticed that I'd been ignoring everyone else in the group, and just he and I were talking. And at one point there was a lull in the conversation, and it kind of felt like everyone was staring at us, so it was a little awkward. So I sort of began to talk to other people.
Okay.
And sorry.
No, go ahead, tell.
Okay. I don't remember how we parted, but just said goodbye, and Michelle, Lenore, and I went back to our hotel room. And I didn't really think anything of that meeting, but I think it was Lenore pointed out that she thought maybe he liked me, which made me think differently, I guess, about reflecting on our conversation because I didn't get that vibe from him.
Okay. Did you speak after you parted company? Did you speak to Mr. Alexander again that night?
Not that night, no.
When did you next speak to Mr. Alexander?
Well, while Lenore and Michelle and I were at Applebee's having dinner, Michelle's phone rang and she answered it, and I only heard her half of the conversation, and then she hung up and asked me and just told me that Travis wants to know if I would go to the executive director banquet with him.
And we heard a little bit about this earlier, but from your perspective, at least, perhaps I should say it this way, at your perspective at the time, did you even know what an executive director's banquet was?
No, when Michelle mentioned it, that was the first I heard about it.
And what did you come to understand that it was?
Did you even know what an executive director's banquet was? I mean, it's got a couple of descriptors, so I think we could probably figure it out. No?
Eventually, I came to understand that it's kind of it's a banquet where everyone dresses up. The women are dressed to the nines, men are usually in tuxedos. It's kind of an upscale banquet with multiple courses, and generally there are speeches and things that other people give at the banquet while you're dining.
Okay. Now, once
Full of executive
this invitation came to you, let me ask, were you in any way prepared to attend such a banquet?
No, I turned him down and said I didn't want to go because I didn't. Once I found out that it was something where you have to dress up for, I didn't bring anything for that, so I said thanks anyway. But no thanks, because we were on the other side of Las Vegas. The banquet started in less than an hour, and I just didn't see how I could get a dress, get back there, it's rush hour traffic, all in that span of time. So
And this would have been Thursday evening?
yes, this was Thursday night.
Did you end up attending that banquet?
I did.
Explain to us how you went from the point in time when you said, I don't have anything to wear, it's across town, it's in an hour, to actually attending the banquet. How did that happen?
Well, after I said no, Michelle was she encouraged me. She said it would be a very good experience for me. There are lots of executives that go that you should meet. I think her idea was to get me inspired to become more active in the company and get me more excited about the company. And both Lenore and Michelle were very encouraging, saying that you really should go. This is a very good opportunity. Not everyone gets this opportunity. So I kind of just said, okay, well, we got to find something for me to wear. So we ran around town. I think Kohl's was near Applebee's. I didn't know if there were any suitable dresses at that store, but we went in there, grabbed a few things off the rack, tried them on. Nothing was really working out. So I was thinking I was probably going to call him back. Well, actually, I did call him right before that and said, okay, I don't have a dress, but I'm going to look for one and I'll let you know. And so I was in the dressing room at Kohl's. By that point, he had my cell phone number. And so he called me and said,
I was just commenting that like all of that is so unbelievably irrelevant. And Martinez is letting her go on, and then she starts to say something that somebody says, and he says, objection, hearsay. And he's like that throughout, where like he is never not paying attention. He is never not right on it. It is amazing. Like how he doesn't zone out while she's blathering on like some innocent fucking babe in the woods. He is laser focused. It's amazing. Did she say Kohl's for formal wear? I have no idea. But the story just gets so much better. Just keep listening. So interesting. It reminds me of one of Lauren's great stories.
Did you end up buying a dress at Kohl's?
no,
Did you end up obtaining a dress to wear to this banquet?
yes, his friend packed an extra dress and she was the same size as me. And I guess she heard about his predicament and said that I could wear that dress.
Did you find it
Right.
strange that Mr. Alexander was asking you to this banquet after only meeting him the day before?
I didn't really think of it as strange. I think the whole week was kind of strange. It wasn't really what I was accustomed to. So I was just going with the flow.
Okay. So tell us how you obtained this dress and what happens as you're going from Kohl's to the banquet.
After I realized there was a dress at the hotel, we dropped everything at Kohl's, hopped in the car and got on the freeway, and it was very slow traffic, but we just made it all the way back to the MGM Grand. And we rushed up to the hotel room where the dress was. I changed, and Travis met me there, met Michelle and I there, and we walked across the complex over to the ballroom where the banquet hall was being held. I'm sorry, where the banquet was being held in the ballroom.
Whose dress was it that you were borrowing?
His friend's wife, Sky Hughes.
And had you known Miss Hughes prior to coming to her room and borrowing her dress?
No, I had not met her.
And you mentioned his friend Chris Hughes, being Sky's husband. Had you met Chris Hughes prior to this event?
No.
When you went to, let me ask you this, was Mr. Alexander there in the room when you changed and got ready?
I think he showed up. I was in the bathroom changing.
Tell us what this banquet was like for you.
It was It was nice. I was somewhat accustomed to that level of dining because of my serving experience, but I was always a server, not the guest. So, and I was very familiar with just how the course is run and, table etiquette and that sort of thing. So that was not really, it didn't move me a lot, but what was interesting was all of these people that were there and how successful they all were. And that kind of opened my eyes to the reality that you really can be successful in this company. And it's not just a fly-by-night company or any kind of get-rich-quick scheme or things like that.
Any kind of, what was that?
Like a get-rich-quick scheme, that's not what it was.
Okay.
It was legitimate.
It sounds to me like then that you were to some degree getting intoxicated by the success you were seeing. Is that fair to say?
I don't know if intoxicated would quite be right, but it definitely made a big impression on me.
Impression how?
It stuck out in my mind. Travis also challenged me. He said every person they take to the executive. Okay.
Okay, question.
Yeah, it's really like it goes on like this. This is what I mean. Like I literally skipped over almost 3 hours of her testifying about her abusive parents and her abusive boyfriends with the same level of granular, like, who cares? Is that her mom? Is that her mother? Does anybody know? Legitimately a get rich scheme. Yeah, exactly. Like anyway, it's just the Mormons and the multi-level marketing, they're big into it.
Ms. Arias, did people at this banquet encourage you to become more involved in prepaid legal?
Yes.
Was Mr. Alexander one of those individuals that encouraged you?
Yes, he encouraged me the most of everybody.
Tell us in terms of, you talked about the dining and things of that nature. Did you have any idea when you went to this banquet, or did you learn during the course of this banquet what an executive director meant in terms of income level?
I had an idea. There were people there giving they're called ring speeches. That means that they earned $100,000 within a 1-year period. So when you do that, you earn a ring to symbolize that or to show that. So that's a huge milestone in the company that a lot of people strive for. Travis did not have his ring. He came close. At one point, he said he made almost 80 grand.
I couldn't hear the last statements. Restate the question.
How,
Oh, to your right. Thank you. You may proceed.
to your understanding, how did Mr. Alexander have the ability to invite you to this executive director's banquet?
He wouldn't have to be an executive director to have tickets. So that meant that he qualified for that position.
And to your understanding, what did qualifying to that position mean?
It meant that he had a certain level of production in the company as far as selling memberships. I believe that was my understanding of it.
Okay. But you also mentioned something about a ring. To your understanding at this banquet, was that something different than being an executive director?
Yes, because you can be an executive director and still not be earning $100,000 or actually anywhere near that, is my understanding now.
Okay. Did Mr. Alexander give a speech at this banquet?
No.
Did other people that he was with or people that he knew, did they make speeches at this banquet?
People made speeches and he may have known them, but I don't know what their relationship was to him.
The level of income of the people in the room, it seemed like from what Mr. Searcy told us, that was pretty well known. Is that correct?
Restate the question.
Did you have an understanding, or was there any publications that talked about how much money these people were making?
Yes, some of the people are known to, well, you get a ring when you earn $100,000. When your income reaches $250,000, you get a diamond embedded in the ring. When your income reaches $500,000, you get 2 diamonds. And when your income reaches $1 million a year, you get 3 diamonds. So, and then there are people who earn beyond $1 million mark. I don't know if there is any kind of outward symbol for that or not.
Okay. But you were learning this while you were present at this banquet, right? All these figures, these income figures, right?
Yes, people were mentioning their lifestyle in their speeches. It's incorporated their lifestyle, how things changed, how they struggled or how they're having success now, and they throw out numbers.
Did that speak to you in terms of your current situation or your situation as it relates to September 2006?
Yes.
Let's talk about that a little bit. What sorts of, in general, not specifically what they said, but what sort of statements do they make about the lifestyle in terms of with prepaid legal, how long it took to make money, those sort of things?
Their lifestyle, they no longer struggled, was the impression that I got. They no longer worried about paying the bills. They no longer worried about where their money would come from. They were more concerned with things of a higher nature, I guess you could say, like philanthropy, or they could turn around and bless now that they've been blessed, and constructive ways they could now use their income to better society.
And that was something that also spoke to you?
Yes, very much.
After this banquet, what did you and Mr. Alexander stay together?
After the banquet, we left the banquet room, it was like a big ballroom. And everyone sort of mills around outside and takes pictures with people. And so Travis took me around to a few different executives, and I got my picture taken with a bunch of people and him. And we just did that. And after that, I changed out of, well, we went back to the hotel room and I changed out of the dress and back into regular clothes.
Without telling me specifically what he said during this evening with Mr. Alexander, did you get the sense that he had a romantic interest in you?
Not really. He wasn't really flirting with me. He wasn't giving off that vibe. I did get the impression that he was trying to impress me because he was talking about income, and that he was talking to the guy next to him, but he was saying it very loud. So I got that impression, but not that he was trying to like woo me, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Me neither.
During that evening, did you learn anything else about Mr. Alexander, where he lived, his family, his work history? Did you learn things like that about him?
He didn't talk about his family, but the night before he talked about, he said he was from Riverside.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
That he was from Riverside.
Okay.
He told me he was a 49ers fan, which I kind of didn't believe because he was from Southern California, and most people like the Chargers in that area. But it had to do with Steve Young. I guess he was a member of the church and a very good quarterback. He asked me about the UFC, if I was familiar with it. That was an interest he had, and I was familiar with it somewhat.
And UFC, is that an acronym for something?
Yes, it's an acronym for Ultimate Fighting Championship.
Again, who cares though?
And is that what we would call cage fighting?
Yes, cage fighting, no holds barred.
Okay. And it sounds like you mentioned the church. Did he convey his faith to you that evening?
Not that evening. We went to convention on Friday. He had invited me to sit down on the floor where the executive directors sit. Just a bunch of chairs set up, so it's closer to the stage instead of a stadium seating.
And just so we're clear, this is the day after the banquet, right?
Yes, this is the Friday morning. I had a ticket, which was several seats up. It was with Michelle. And I got a text message from him that said there's an open seat down here if you want to sit closer to the stage.
Okay. And from your understanding, this would be an area, you sound like what you were telling us is an area that you wouldn't otherwise be able to sit. Is that?
Yes, you needed a special pass to get into that area.
Okay. And do you know why?
It's reserved for executive directors only, so you have to be qualified for that position in order to get into that area.
Okay. And I'm sorry, what did you call this? You said it was a meeting, or what was this event Friday?
It was, I guess I would call them sessions, like there's a morning session and an afternoon session.
Okay. And for those of us who haven't been to one of these sessions with prepaid legal, what does this involve? Is there a huge number of people?
Yes, it fills up. It's a big stadium. I don't know how big, maybe football size, maybe not quite that big, but it's pretty huge.
Or just so we're clear, we're not talking the size of a football stadium, right?
No, but it holds a lot of, it holds well over 10,000. I think it can hold like 15,000 people.
Okay. All right.
With the floors.
Okay, so please go on.
So that was filling up. I decided to make my way down. I don't remember how I got there. I think he met me at the area and took me over to where the seat was. And I went and sat down there, and the event starts with the national anthem and then the Canadian national anthem because the company is in both countries. And then just different things get started. It's kind of mixed up. There's training, entertainment. So I mean, it's not entertainment, but it's their speeches. I think they use the term entertainment. It's entertaining training. It's entertaining training, I guess you could say. Anyway, we just looked at these. I just watched these speeches and took notes in my journal and took pictures, that kind of thing.
What were this, and I'm not even going to try to repeat the word because I'm sure I'll butcher it, but this entertainment/training, what was that from your perspective designed to do?
It's designed to, well, you get more training. Sometimes there are new products that they roll out and they train on that. But at the same time, it is designed to not be boring. Also, it's something that you usually riveted to. There's a lot of note taking. Some people come out and just rally up the crowd. They're very good speakers. They have a lot of energy. The ring speeches that were heard at the night before also set on stage again, so that all the associates that were unable to attend the banquet also get to hear those speeches. They're generally very inspiring because they're success stories.
Okay. And is this meeting in this large facility, is this something that lasts all day?
Yes, we start, I don't remember the time, but we start somewhat mid to early morning, go until lunch, break for lunch, and then come back in the afternoon until late afternoon.
Okay. Did you have lunch with Mr. Alexander?
No, that day I didn't. I went to get sushi with Michelle.
Thanks.
When you go back to this meeting, do you then return your seat near Mr. Alexander?
Yes. I think he invited me one more time. So then after that, I just stayed in that seat for the rest of the convention.
Did the entire convention, you said the rest of the convention, did the entire convention take place in this one large room?
Yes.
So you spent the entire 2 days sitting next to him at this convention.
Yes.
Did you have dinner with him that what would be, I guess, Friday night?
Not Friday night. No, we didn't. I
Okay.
don't really remember Friday night, actually.
Tell us about Saturday then.
Okay, Saturday I was again getting lunch with Michelle, and we started texting each other sort of back and forth. By this point, it was pretty clear that he liked me, more than friends. He wasn't being overtly flirtatious, but he was being very friendly. And I decided that, well, Michelle told him that I had a boyfriend.
Did you have a boyfriend at the time?
Yes, I was still with Daryl.
Did you know, to your understanding, was Mr. Alexander aware of the fact that you had a boyfriend?
Yes,
Overruled, you may answer.
yes, he was aware.
And you were just telling us that
So just want to say, it seems like he was aware because somebody else told him, not because she did. And considering that he is inviting her to the special executive director's banquet and to the come up and have the special seat at the concert or whatever, I feel like maybe she might have mentioned it herself. But seems like somebody else told him, not her.
you got a sense of Mr. Alexander having an interest in you that wasn't strictly business, right?
Yes.
And you mentioned you were getting that sense. What things did he do to give you that sense?
He was texting me after the banquet. He said really nice things. You're a great girl. Okay, sorry.
Not being offered for the truth of the matter, sir, just the fact of the listener.
Overruled, you may continue.
He was friendlier and friendlier, but not inappropriate. But after I learned that he already knew I had a boyfriend and he continued to act that way, I thought it would be, I thought I needed to pull him aside and tell him that I have a boyfriend so that he didn't get the wrong impression from me.
Okay. And did you do that?
Yes.
And when was that?
That was Saturday night. We did have dinner at the Rainforest Cafe again. The whole Team Renew met. They reserved the upper floor of the Rainforest Cafe. We all had dinner there and then hung out in the food court after that and just talked for a long time. And then we went, I texted him earlier and said, I'd like to talk to you later.
She said, Claire, now.
Rephrase the question.
What motivated you to, or I shouldn't say that, how did you arrange this conversation with Mr. Alexander?
I indicated that I would like to talk to him when the time was appropriate, alone, and he said, okay. So we were hanging out in the food court, and he asked me, do you want to go for a walk? And I said, I thought this would be my opportunity to talk to him. So we started going for a walk around the casino. It was very late. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning at that point, and we started wandering near the stores. They're all closed at that point, so there are plenty of people in the casino area where all the slot machines are, but this end of the building was kind of empty. So as we walked, I explained to him that I had a boyfriend. And I told him I liked him, but I'm in a relationship. And I explained a little bit about the state of my relationship. I didn't go into a lot of detail.
What do you mean by you explaining to him the state of your relationship?
I didn't go into a lot of detail.
What she did was she explained how she was in a relationship, but it wasn't a very happy relationship, and she didn't really love him anymore, and she didn't think he really loved her anymore because she wanted to cover her ass. She didn't want to look like a bad person, but she also didn't want to discourage Travis from pursuing her. I guarantee you that's what she was doing.
I said, I'm not sure where it's going, but he's my boyfriend. That's what I said. I mean, I'm monogamous, so I'm with Daryl, not with anybody else.
Did he respond in any way to what you were saying?
He smiled, and he was aware that that's what I was, well, he assumed that's what I was going to talk to him about. And so at that point, it was clear, I thought, and I was able to relax a little more and just be friends. And so we found a park bench. It was kind of like a park bench against a wall at that end of the building, and we sat down and ended up talking for a few more hours, so just about everything.
Did he end up commenting on the what you should do regarding your current relationship?
Yes.
Did he advise you that you shouldn't settle for what you were dealing with?
Overruled, you may answer yes or no.
Yes.
While you were out on this bench, was this outside or inside?
Indoors.
And you said the two of you sat and spoke for a couple hours.
Yes.
Did you talk about religion or faith during that period of time?
Yes, the topic did turn to religion.
Did he share with you his membership in the Mormon church?
Yes, I knew that he was Mormon at that point. Michelle said it as if to warn me, like it should be a warning. I didn't know what that meant because I wasn't familiar with the Mormon church. I didn't know, I just assumed it was another Christian denomination like any other. And I didn't really, I mean, I've heard about Mormonism over the years. Mormonism is the butt of a lot of jokes on South Park, and some people just seem very antagonistic toward Mormons. I didn't understand why.
Sustained.
Did you have concerns about being around Mr. Alexander because of his membership or practice of the Mormon faith?
No, not at all. Someone's religion wouldn't affect that at all.
Did he express a desire for you to
Excuse me.
learn more about his faith?
No, he implied it, but he didn't openly start proselytizing or anything.
Okay. During this conversation at the bench in the MGM, did he ever attempt to kiss you?
Not there on the bench, no.
But he did that night?
He leaned in very close as if he wanted to kiss me, and he was licking his lips and he was staring at my lips and like he wanted to kiss me, but he didn't.
And where did this occur?
On the elevator.
How close to you did he get?
Well, we got into the elevator and
Sustained.
So just to warn you, he is going to go through every single intimate encounter that they had in intimate detail, asking detailed questions about every act. And it begins to wear thin very, very, very quickly.
How close did he get to you?
he got right in my face. I would say 4 inches, maybe 5.
Okay. And this wasn't forced based on the size of the elevator, right?
No, the elevator was empty. At one point, there was someone else that stepped on, but
Large elevator?
yes.
And he got within 4 inches of your face?
Yes, he put his,
Sustained.
Once he got within 4 inches of your face, with his face, was that right?
yes.
What did he do?
He licked his lips and said, I wish he didn't have a boyfriend.
Sustained.
It's a pretty amazing memory, eh? She remembers that he licked his lips and said, I wish you didn't have a boyfriend. Same Garth hated her then, same now. Tell us, Garth, how do you feel about Letitia Stoke? Because she won her appeal and she's going back to trial.
Did you kiss him?
No,
Did he make contact with you? Physical contact?
yes.
How?
He put his arm around me when he walked me back to my hotel room.
When he walked you back to your hotel room?
Yes.
You see, he makes all the overtures. He does everything. And she's just the passive recipient of all of Travis's active agency, right? She is throughout the entire thing. She's just the passive recipient.
Did he attempt to kiss you again?
No, it seemed very obvious to me.
More trial, more
No,
bullet.
actually, that's not what you said.
Overruled. You may answer the question.
He made it very obvious that he wanted to kiss me, but he was restraining himself. It was very obvious restraint.
And did he attempt to invite himself into your hotel room?
No.
And did you still have roommates per se for the hotel room?
Yes, Michelle and Lenore, and I believe her mom were inside sleeping at that hour.
And this would have been late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is this the last you see of Mr. Alexander when you're in Las Vegas?
No.
After that evening, when was the next time you saw him?
Sunday morning, they had what's called a breakout, and it was in a small theater near the MGM Grand, within walking distance. So that team, I think it was Team Renew, maybe a few other people not on that team weren't present. I saw him there. I didn't sit next to him. And then
Sustained.
Where was he when you saw him?
he was at the theater, and I was at the theater, and then he invited me to.
What did he invite you to do?
He invited me to go to. It was a buffet of some kind back at the MGM, where he and a few other people were having breakfast. or
Did
lunch.
you accept his invitation to have breakfast?
Yes,
And you said this was Mr. Alexander and other individuals, right?
yes.
Okay. Were these people you knew previous to this point in time, or were these more individuals who were meeting?
I believe I'd met them over the weekend. They were people on my team and in my upline.
Okay. The friends that you came with, you drove from California with, were they at this breakfast?
No.
Where were they, to your knowledge?
I don't know. I don't know where they went after the breakout.
Okay. This breakfast with Mr. Alexander, was that the last time you saw him?
No, well,
At the convention?
no. I
Okay,
I stayed with him until he left, I think.
okay. And what did you do after breakfast, or did he leave right after breakfast?
We walked over to the front desk where he checked out, and we walked out to the front where there were valets, and he was loading stuff into the taxi and getting ready to go to the airport.
Were there arrangements made for you two to have
He's leaving for the airport and she is still hanging around him to the last bitter second.
contact with each other again? How did you leave things with Mr. Alexander?
Yeah, he indicated he would call me. I didn't really expect him to call me, but
Liar.
that's kind of where we left it. We had
She absolutely expected him to call her. She went straight home and broke up with her boyfriend.
Did he attempt to kiss you before he got in the taxi?
no.
When did you,
No, he didn't. He didn't in public. He apparently did not.
leave the convention?
Michelle, Eleanor, and I checked out a few hours. We got lunch at the Rainforest Cafe again, and then we checked out after that.
Okay. And I presume you drove back to California?
Yes,
After you arrived back in California, you were still living in the home with Daryl, right?
yes.
Was it back to work, or what did you do when you got back?
I did have to work. Just back in the same routine, except Travis began to call me.
At this point in time, when you came back to California, to Palm Desert specifically, did you still consider Daryl Brewer to be your boyfriend?
Yes,
Were you still sexually active with Mr. Brewer after you came back from the convention?
no.
Why not?
I don't recall specifically why. Oh, well, because we broke up. I guess that would be why. But we didn't have sex after the convention. I remember that was prior to that was the last time that we did.
Prior to the convention?
Yes.
And you talk about breaking up with Mr. Brewer. When did you do that?
Well, I got back from convention on Sunday and I broke up with Daryl on Thursday of that week.
Why did you break up with Daryl after you came back from the convention?
The relationship was already, like I mentioned, was kind of fizzling. I loved him very much, but it wasn't going.
She ends all of her relationships while she still loves them very much. But I'm going to say that she broke up with that relationship because she thought that she could get Travis, and he was already an executive director in this company that she just joined. And so she thought that she could have herself, a free ride to the top with Travis.
Going anywhere.
And let's face it, he was giving pretty good supply at the time, right? He was giving her a lot of attention. And the 4 years later, with the boyfriend who had his own problems and own things going on, he wasn't paying her that much attention anymore.
At least we had different visions for our futures. Because it had been like that from day one. It took me 4.5 years to really just let it go because I really loved him. Also on Wednesday night, I was invited to go out to some of Travis's friend's house. And I knew Travis would be there, and I didn't want to, I'm kind of like, I'm one guy at a time kind of person. So I didn't want to have anything overlapping, and I knew there was an interest with Travis, and I was beginning to sort of develop just the seeds of interest with Travis. And I didn't want to be in a relationship when I went there because I didn't want there to be anything hindering. I didn't want to feel guilty for flirting or sitting next to him or doing any of that. I wanted to be out of a relationship so that I could not cheat on anybody, if that makes sense.
She's literally living with the guy, and she broke up with him. Like, she breaks up with him on Thursday and then goes to this party with Travis like a couple of days later or whatever. So I wouldn't exactly call that a clean break personally. I would call that by the skin of your teeth.
Would it be correct to say that?
Yeah.
Then from what you're telling us, Mr. Alexander motivated you to break up with Daryl Brewer?
The things he said made a big impression on me. It wasn't just about relationships, it was about my whole life, my career, and the direction of my life. So it made me step back and take a look at where I stood and where I was going. So that was part of the reason.
You mentioned something that I think is interesting. you said you came back with a different vision of the future. You came back from the convention with a different vision of the future than when you left, right?
Yes.
Describe for us, if you could, what was your vision of the future before you went to this convention in September 2006?
It was kind of nebulous. It wasn't very clear. I just knew that I wanted to, basic things. I knew I wanted to have kids someday. I knew I wanted to be married someday. I knew I didn't want to struggle paycheck to paycheck. I didn't see myself living a life of excess, but definitely being able to pay the bills and provide for family somewhat, or just at least be a joint contributor to the household. I saw myself getting more into photography, and hopefully I still had hopes of being successful in real estate eventually.
And when you come back from convention, what's your vision of the future?
I still had those desires, but leaving convention, I can't really describe it. It was painful actually, because I knew that there was a lot of change on my horizon at that point. I couldn't continue with the same life that I'd been living, because it's kind of like my eyes were opened to a lot of things that I had been ignoring. And I didn't, the idea of change was uncomfortable. I really loved Daryl, but I couldn't continue with it.
That sounds more about things on a personal level.
Yeah.
But what about your vision for your future on a professional level? Were you believing, leaving this convention, that prepaid legal was going to make you rich?
The idea of selling the membership was uncomfortable to me. I believe in the product, and but just hitting up my friends and family seemed awkward. So I had that desire, but I couldn't quite see myself going out and doing it, at least yet. So
Okay.
No, she does not.
Michelle invited me to an event a week later, and it kind of reiterated some of the things I'd seen at convention, and I continued to go to these events. From then on, I became more active as far as plugging into those events and how to sell the membership and how to have success, and just the general vision of it became more crystallized in my mind.
Was there a general point in time then when you decided that to, for lack of a better phrase, go all in prepaid legal in terms of your future?
I had periods in the company where I was very productive, and the money I made was surprising. I didn't realize the compensation plan was as generous as it was, and I liked that. But I found it difficult to maintain that level of production every month.
Were you still working other jobs?
Yes.
Did you eventually get to a point where prepaid legal was your only job?
No.
Okay. Okay.
How much did you make in a year with prepaid legal in say your most productive year?
I really didn't make anything for several months at a time, and then one month I made approximately 1,700, and the next month I made, I want to say a little over 1,000. So those 2 months were really good.
How much time a week were you spending investing in your prepaid legal business?
Not nearly as much as I should have been. They have goals in the company, things that they'd like you to commit to, such as talking to other people about a minimum number of people per day or per week. And I don't remember them now because it's been so long, but just different. They're called 10 core commitments. At least that's what they were called then. And they tell you that if you just do these things systematically, then success follows.
How many hours a week were you working at the restaurant?
At that time, I was still full-time at Cousteau, but eventually I quit that job. And then I only had one job.
Okay. You broke up with, I want to go back to
This is at 1.5 speed. Right? I mean, God, the jury is going to be like having to poke pins in themselves just to stay awake.
conversation you had with Daryl. Did you guys sit down and the two of you talk about the relationship?
Yes, I guess I wasn't as specific as I thought I had been. It sounded like he didn't have he didn't get that impression, but we sat down. I actually had a conversation with him. We sat at our kitchen table, and I just told him, in essence, I told him, I know we're not getting married, but I'd like to have kids someday. And he said, okay. And I said, well, I think maybe we should, I might want to start pursuing that goal. And I know that you don't want to pursue that goal with me, and that's okay. I know he was moving back to Monterey. I said, I know you're moving back soon. So I kind of just left it at that. I don't think I was very specific, but he was nodding his head like he understood what I was saying. So I was under the impression that he understood that we were no longer together at that point. I mean, not in a committed relationship where we are boyfriend, girlfriend.
And you mentioned doing this prior to being invited to spend a weekend in California with Mr. Alexander, right?
I actually did it right after I was invited, but prior to going.
Prior to you going to California, or prior to this breakup, had you had any other interaction with any officials from the Mormon Church in your home?
Not at that point.
So tell us about when was it? When was this trip to California or somewhere else in California to take place?
This would have been the weekend after convention.
And where was it? How many hours from you was it?
I don't remember the drive, not far. It was in Murrieta, California, either Murrieta or Temecula, I think Murrieta. And I'd say an hour and 15 minutes maybe on
Okay.
the drive.
And whose home were you going to?
I was going to Travis's friends, and their names are Chris and Sky.
Is that Chris and Sky Hughes where the dress came from?
Yes,
As it relates to, at this point in time, did you have an understanding where Mr. Alexander lived?
yes, I knew he lived in Mesa.
Did you feel comfortable going to Murrieta to spend this, I guess it was a couple days, in this home of people you barely knew?
I had met the Hugheses at convention, and they seemed like very nice people, so I was a little uncomfortable, but not in a bad way, just shy. But I didn't feel unsafe or anything like that. I just, there was gonna be a party there. I believe Mr. Hughes' brothers were moving to Colorado, so it was sort of a going away party, and Sky's brother also returned from his mission. So it was kind of and then all the previous legal associates were there, so it's kind of a party with multiple purposes. We were
Okay, so you know what? This is making me want to poke pins in my eyes just listening to it. I did not cover the Stout appeal. I wasn't even aware that it was happening. I just saw Grizzly True Crime uploaded a video saying that she had won her appeal, and I was like, what the heck? And I immediately went and looked into it. That's what I was saying, Anders. I wonder if she's going to have a different defense this time. So I am finding this really, 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 really tedious. And I think that I just want to watch Juan Martinez tear her apart. What do people think about that? It's literally like listening to Sarah Boone talk shit about George without George being there to rebut her comments. So if you guys don't mind terribly, I think I'm just going to play the cross instead, because this is making me want to commit a felony just to get away from it. Day 19, Jodi on the stand. Full audio, Jodi on the stand. Day 21, cross of Jodi. Oh, okay, let's see if this is the one. Let me just find where it starts. Okay, hang on. Yeah, this is going to be way better. It's way more exciting. She's just going to tell herself serving story about full of lies, basically. So let me just see. I don't know if this is, let's see. I don't know if it started the day before.
Please be seated. The record will show the presence of the jury, the defendant, and all counsel. Ms. Arias, you are still under oath. Do you understand?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez, you may cross-examine the witness.
Okay, here we go.
Ma'am, take a look at exhibit 413. You recognize that exhibit, correct?
Yes.
And that's a picture of you, correct? Right
Yes.
here. And the other one is a picture of your dumb sister, Angela, correct?
That's my sister. She's not dumb.
Well, do you remember having a conversation with Travis Alexander back on May 10th?
Oh my God, I have to slow it down because he's so great that he doesn't drag out his nonsense. And I don't want to miss what he says, but what a great start. What a great start.
Of 2008.
Yes.
And do you remember that you tape recorded that conversation?
Yes.
And during that conversation, isn't it true that you said, but I honestly think, talking about Angela, she's a little bit dumb. You said that, right?
Yes, I called her dumb and stupid.
Did I ask you whether or not you called her stupid, ma'am?
No.
I asked you whether or not you called her dumb, right?
Oh my God, he does not tolerate any nonsense from her, and she just keeps giving him nonsense. It's amazing. Yeah.
And take a look at exhibit 452. Do you recognize the two people there?
Yes.
And this photograph was taken by your camera, correct?
It looks like it.
Well, when you say it looks like it, isn't it part of the same photographs that are involved in Exhibit 413?
I think it is.
Well, Exhibit number 413, that was taken on May 10th, we'll bring it in, of 2008, right?
Yes.
And this photograph here, Exhibit number 413, features the color of your hair, doesn't it?
Yes.
Exhibit 452 also features the color of your hair, doesn't it?
Yes, a different part of my hair.
And this was taken sometime in May of 2008, correct?
This exhibit?
No, Exhibit number 452
I only remember it was the spring, I think.
of 2008?
Yes.
I move for the admission of Exhibit 452.
Objection, lack of foundation.
Council approach.
I feel better already. I feel better already. My God, watching that defense, watching Kurt Nurmi was making me sad. Yeah, he just does an amazing job. He's got no time for her. And so she has just spent however many days, right? Day 21, she started on day 13. So she just spent 8 days being mollycoddled by someone on her side. And now she is facing someone who is not interested in her nonsense. It's 5 after 5, Anders Gustafsson, 1598, in the afternoon.
52 is admitted.
Now, take a look at the back of Exhibit 452. It contains a date on there. Does that date refresh your recollection as to when this photograph was taken?
Yes.
And what date was this photograph taken?
5 days later, the 15th of May, 2008.
And with regard to this photograph,
Crazy.
it also features you. And it also features your sister, the one that you also said was stupid, correct?
Yes.
Now, with regard to this name calling, one of the things that we heard through a text message was that you were upset at some point because Mr. Alexander said that you were going to turn out like your mother, or you were acting like your mother. Do you remember that text message, man?
Yes.
And in that text message, there was this indication that somehow he was saying something bad about your mother, right?
Yes.
And when you testified, you seemed to get pretty upset about that, right?
I remember getting emotional.
And you indicated that you loved your mother, right?
I do love my mother, yes.
Did you or did you not indicate that you loved your mother? I'm not asking you if you love your mother. I'm asking you if you indicated it.
I don't remember.
Do you have problems with your memory, ma'am?
Sometimes.
So you can tell us, for example, what kind of coffee you brought at Starbucks back on June 3rd of 2008, but you can't tell us what you said yesterday or the day before?
I always got the same drink at Starbucks.
And you can tell us, for example, what type of sex you had with Mr. Alexander many years ago, but you're having trouble telling us what you said a couple of days ago?
When I'm under stress, yeah, it affects my memory.
I thought you said the relationship with Mr. Alexander was very stressful.
Some of the sex wasn't.
Pardon?
Some of the sex wasn't.
So you did enjoy the sex then, is that what you're telling me?
At times I did.
But you did indicate at some point that, as part of your examination, also that Mr. Alexander at some point said something about your grandparents also. Do you remember telling us that?
My grandfather.
Right, that he made some pejorative comment or some bad comment about him, right?
Yes, his name.
Right. And one of the things that seems to be coming out here is that you seem to have a double standard here with regard to making comments about people, don't you?
Yes, I do. I do.
And in fact, it's okay for you to make comments about, for example, Angela and call her dumb and stupid, right?
No,
Well, but you said it, right?
I did.
And we heard on the telephone conversation that you were laughing when you said that, right?
Yeah, it was sentimental, kind of.
You were laughing. You weren't upset when you said it, were you?
No.
And then when Mr. Alexander says something like, you're going to be like your mother, that's when you get emotional and upset, right?
Yep.
I did.
And that's when you get upset when he says something about your grandfather, right?
That night I was upset.
And, well, you did get upset, yes or no?
No, because I was already upset.
Well, you didn't get upset on the witness stand when you told us about
Oh,
that?
yeah, on the witness stand, certainly.
And so it just seems that it's okay unless it's okay to say these things unless it's Mr. Alexander that's saying them, right? So
No,
you're
that's
applying
not
a
what I'm
different
saying.
standard to Mr. Alexander, correct?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
And ma'am, one of the other things that we know with regard to this standard applying and that sort of thing is back yesterday, as a matter of fact, you told us that back in August of 2007, you went over to Mr. Alexander's house. Do you remember telling us that?
Yes.
And you remember telling us that at that time, you were broken up with Mr. Alexander, right?
Yes, I had broken up with him.
Well, you broken up with him or he broken up with you, one of the two, right?
I broke up with him
All right.
about a month
And
ago.
you broke up with him on June 29th of 2007, right?
Yes.
But you felt that it was okay for you to go over to his house in August of 2007, didn't you?
After he told me.
Yes or no? Did you feel it was okay to go over to his house?
I said yes.
And when you went over to his house, you indicated that you knocked or you did something and that nobody came to the door, right?
I went to his house a lot in August, so it depends on the
Ma'am, I'm
incident you're
talking
referring
about the
to.
incident that you told us about yesterday. Do you remember the one that you related that involved the killing? Do you remember telling us about that?
I did not knock.
And you did go over there and at some point you started to peep in to the house, didn't you?
Yes.
So that means that you don't know if you knocked, though, right?
I did not knock. I know I did not.
So you went around the back then to look, right?
I went around the back to get in.
You went around the back then, right?
Yes.
And when you went around the back, you're telling us you went around the back to get in, right?
Yes.
But when you got to the back to get in, you started to look at what was going on, right?
I glanced in as I was walking to the sliding glass door.
You did walk in and you were looking at what was going on, right?
I did not walk in.
Then you were from outside looking in, right?
Yes.
Never went in, right?
No, I ran out of the backyard.
You never went in, yes or no?
I said no.
And when you went and looked, you saw something that upset you, right?
Yes.
You saw Mr. Alexander, right?
I didn't know it was him at
Yes
first,
or
but
no?
yes,
Did
that
you
was
see
him.
him during that encounter?
Overruled.
I did. I said no.
Pardon?
I didn't know it was him at first.
You didn't see him when you were there that night?
I did afterward, yes.
That night, ma'am, listen to my question. That night, did you see Mr. Alexander inside that house? Yes or no?
Yes.
And inside that house, there was a female, right?
Yes.
What's the name of the female?
He didn't tell me her name.
Did I ask you if he told you the name?
No.
So did you recognize her?
No, I did not.
And he was there with the female, though. You were able to see her face, though, right?
Yes, sort of.
Well, yes or sort of means two different things. Yes or no? Were you able to see her face or not?
Part of it was shadowed from the
Yes,
TV
no.
behind her, so I
Ma'am,
saw part of
Judge,
it.
she's not answering my question.
Ms. Arias, listen carefully to the question and answer only the question you are asked.
Okay.
You may continue.
Could you see her face? Yes or no?
Part of it.
But you were able to see that they were making out, right?
Oh, yeah, they were.
And so is that a yes? They were making out, right?
Yes. Mhm.
Is that yes?
Yes.
And part of what you also saw was that her brassiere was off, right?
I did not see that. I just saw her rehook her bra.
Pardon?
I didn't see it all the way off. I
You
just saw her
you
rehook.
indicated that you saw her hooking the brassiere back on, right? You
She
told us
was
that
rehooking
yesterday,
it.
yes?
She was rehooking it, yes.
So you did tell us that yesterday, right?
Yes.
So that means that at least that her bra was unhooked, right?
It was unhooked.
And you stood there and they stood up in reaction to something that you did? Is that what you're telling us?
No,
They didn't see you,
they didn't see me.
but you saw you, so what happened then is you actually were watching what they were doing then, right?
Briefly, yes.
Did I ask you for how long, ma'am?
No,
I asked you if you stood there and watched them, right?
no.
You didn't stand there and watch them?
I didn't stand there. I saw it and then I turned and ran out of the
So you-
backyard.
But you saw enough to know that they were kissing, right?
Yes,
You used the term making out, didn't you, yesterday?
yes,
You were there long enough to see that one of the individuals was Mr. Alexander, not his roommates, right?
yes,
You were able to see that it was a female, right?
yes,
You were able to see that the bra was unhooked, right?
yes.
And the lights weren't on, right?
There was a light.
Well, didn't you indicate that it was like a TV kind of light?
That light, yes,
Right? So there wasn't a light, there was a television that was on, right?
that's light.
Ma'am, was it a light or was it a television that was on?
It was light from a television screen.
So are you saying that it was the television that was on then?
Yes,
And from that light, you were able to make all of this out, correct?
yes.
No other light was on, right?
Not that I recall.
And then you decided to leave, right?
Yes,
And this was at the point that you were living very close to Mr. Alexander, right?
no.
Well, you were living within 10 miles of him, weren't you?
I was living by Greenfield and Broadway. I don't know the length.
How long would it take you to drive that?
About 15 minutes, depending on traffic.
And after you saw this, one of the things that you did was that you took off, right?
Yes,
And then you thought about it, right?
of course. Mhm.
And you felt strongly enough about this that the next day you called your father, right?
I called my parents' house and my dad.
Yes or no, you spoke to your father.
I did speak to him.
And you were crying, right?
Yes,
And you were upset about this, right?
yes,
And you told him why you were upset, right?
yes.
I thought you said before that you didn't discuss these issues involving you and Mr. Alexander.
Not typically.
Not typically. You said you didn't yesterday and all the days before. You remember telling us that?
The violence, yes.
Oh, I see. So, but you did discuss the fact that you saw him kissing with somebody else with your father, right?
Yes,
And as a result of that, you decided to go talk to Mr. Alexander about it, right?
yes.
What in the world gave you the right to go talk to an ex-boyfriend with whom, according to you, you'd broken up with? What right do you have to do that?
Objection, Your Honor, argument.
Sustained.
Ma'am, do you feel that you could go and talk to him about that?
Of course.
Why? Weren't you broken up?
Yes.
You were being territorial about him, weren't you?
No,
Oh, you weren't? Then why in the world would you even care what he was doing?
because he was trying to court me back.
That's you telling us that he was trying to court you back. If he's trying to court you back, you could have just walked away at that point, couldn't you?
Yeah, I could have at any time, I guess.
Well, at that point, you could have walked away, right?
Yes,
You didn't need him for his paycheck, right? Because he wasn't giving you money, right?
he was giving me money.
Well, that was for some work, but you could have gotten other work, right?
I guess I could have looked.
You guess. You worked at other places. You know you could have gotten other work, couldn't you?
Not in August. It's very slow season for restaurants.
So you're saying that you were restricted in only getting work at restaurants, that there's no other kind of work that you could get?
Restaurants is,
Yes or no?
I guess that would be no, but I hadn't thought about it.
So then, in addition to that, you were living in your own place, right?
No,
Well, you were living with Mr. Alexander?
no,
You were living elsewhere, weren't you?
yes,
You were living in another place, right?
yes,
Where you were paying rent, right?
no,
You weren't paying any rent at all.
not with Rachel.
So in other words, it was even better for you. You didn't even have to worry about having to pay the rent, then, right?
Yes,
And so you could have just left that situation alone, but you decided to confront him anyway, right?
of course,
And the reason that you did it is because you were jealous, right?
no,
And then you did talk to him about this issue, correct?
yes,
And he got upset with you, right?
no,
He didn't get upset and scream and run upstairs. Isn't that what you told us yesterday?
yes, he did.
So, ma'am, to go back to this issue involving the text messages, one of the things that you told us was that there was a text message that you sent to somebody by the name of Steve Carroll, right?
Yes,
And that it was a two-part text message, right?
yes,
In this two-part text message, one part ended up going to Mr. Alexander, right?
yes,
And that he got upset about it, right?
very yes,
And after he got upset about it, one of the things that he wanted was to see the second part of this text message, right?
yes,
And so you lied to him at that point, right?
no,
Well, you fabricated a second text message, didn't you?
after that point, yes,
So are you telling me that fabricating a text message is not a lie?
no, I'm not saying that.
So you did lie to him, Mr. Alexander, right?
Objection, ask and answer.
Yes and no,
So you think that sending him that text message and telling him this is the second part of the text message, that that's not a lie, even though you fabricated it?
that part was the lie.
And so you then were asked the question, well, how did that make you feel when Mr. Alexander was sending you these text messages involving Mr. Carroll? Do you remember that line of questioning?
Yes,
We're applying a different standard here then, right?
Objection, argumentative.
Sustained.
With regard to this issue of how you feel, isn't that the same way that you felt when you were peeping in his window in August of 2007? Isn't that the same kind of feeling that you were having
the same as what?
as the one involving Steve Carroll?
I don't know.
You were mad at Mr. Alexander both times, weren't you?
I wasn't mad at Alexander.
You weren't mad at him or you were upset with him, right?
At what time?
Either time.
Steve Carroll, no. The girl from Phoenix, yes.
And so it just seems that it's okay for you to lie to him about a guy, but when it comes to him being with some other girl, you decide to confront him, right?
Yes,
And one of the other things that you told us yesterday was that you were monogamous with Mr. Alexander, right?
sexually monogamous, yes.
Ma'am, you told us you were monogamous, and that's what monogamous means, sexually, doesn't it?
I think it means more than that sometimes.
Well, in this case, monogamous means sexually, doesn't it?
Objection, this characterizes the testimony.
Restate your question.
When you say monogamous, it means sexually, doesn't it?
Which time?
The time that we're talking about right now, involving Mr. Alexander, no other time.
Our relationship evolved, so
I'm not asking you if it evolved. at the end, right when you killed him, you indicated that you were monogamous with him, right?
Yes,
And at that time, you then left the killing scene, if you will, and you went up to Utah, right?
yes,
And when you went up to Utah, ma'am, you ended up with somebody by the name of Brian Burns, right?
yes.
And you ended up in his bed, right?
I think it was a love sack.
Okay, and with regard to, at that point, according to you, Mr. Alexander still wasn't dead, was he?
It wasn't discussed.
Well, did I ask you whether or not you discussed it with Mr. Burns? I didn't, did I?
I wasn't talking about Mr. Burns.
I'm asking you, at that time, didn't you tell us yesterday, at the time that you went up to Utah, you weren't sure if he was dead? Do you remember telling us that?
Not in Utah, from the Hoover Dam or right before the checkpoint.
So when did you know that he was dead? Tell me that.
Well, I got confirmation of it on June 10th, but
So, okay, if you got confirmation on June 10th, you met with Mr. Burns, what, before June 10th, didn't you?
yes,
You met him on the 5th, right?
yes,
And so at that point, you didn't know, according to your own story, that Mr. Alexander was dead, right?
Mr. Burns is Ryan Burns, and that's the guy that she went and hooked up with after she murdered Travis.
I guess I knew. I wasn't accepting it.
You either knew or you didn't. Which one is it, ma'am? Make up your mind, please.
Objection, ask and answer.
Ask another question.
Did you know he was dead when you were Mr. Burns and he were kissing?
Objection, ask and answer.
Call the roll. Call the roll.
Yeah, I think I did.
You did, but you're not sure at that point.
Wasn't really in my own mind. I was out of my mind, sort of.
So if you didn't think he was dead, if that portion of you didn't think he was dead, then it's okay for you, at that point, if you didn't think he was dead, to sort of roll around with Mr. Alexander then, with Mr. Burns. Then that was okay, right?
I'm single.
Right? Just like he was on August 7th of 2000, on August 8th of 2000, in August of 2007, right?
Yes,
So it's okay for you, then it should be okay for him, right?
it was okay
Then why did you confront him the next day if it was okay?
because he was still courting me. I wanted to know where I stood.
And so because of he was still, your definition, courting you, you felt that you deserved an explanation, right?
Yes,
Hadn't you just had intercourse with Mr. Alexander on the 4th of June?
yes,
And if he was still alive, he would have deserved an explanation then for you being with Mr. Burns, right?
no,
Well, no, you're applying a different standard here, aren't you?
no,
You're saying it's okay for you to confront him about the situation, but not okay for Mr. Alexander to confront you, right?
if he wanted to confront me, it would have been okay.
Ma'am, with regard to the exhibit number 452, it does show you, right? Correct?
Yes,
And it shows again Angela, correct?
yes,
Shows something else on there, doesn't it? Doesn't it show your hand?
yes.
And in fact, let me show you another close-up of that hand.
So she claimed that the cuts on her hands, she told people in Utah that the cuts on her hands from the knife that she used to stab Travis were from a glass that she broke at work prior to leaving on this trip. And so I believe what he's about to do is show that her fingers were not cut.
Please approach.
Yeah, I would not want to be on the stand with Juan Martinez coming at me. My God, like he has every detail of this case all just on the top of his head. And I mean, he just went through, like, not only did he have to prepare for all,
453, and then also take a look at exhibit 452.
not only did he prepare for the case for months and months and years, whatever, but like he has to actually be on his feet enough to respond adequately to the last 8 days of her testimony. And he just doesn't miss a beat. He's just incredible to watch. Yeah.
Exhibit 453 is a close-up of your head, right?
Yes,
And you can also see the jewelry around your sister's neck.
Yes.
Exhibit 453, correct?
yes,
And And you previously have told us about Exhibit 452 and when it was taken and who's in that photograph, correct?
Yes.
I move for the admission of Exhibit 453.
No objection.
And ma'am, this was also taken according to your testimony on May 15th. Let's take a look at that, of 2008. That's a picture of your left hand, isn't it?
Yes.
And that shows your ring finger, right?
Yes.
Do you remember that you testified that on January 22nd of 2008, you and Mr. Alexander were involved in some sort of violent encounter? Do you remember telling us about that?
Yes.
And you told us that during that encounter, he threw you down. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And while you were down, that he kicked you, right?
Yes.
And when he kicked you, man, one of the things that happened was that you put up your left hand. Do you remember telling us that?
Yes, both hands.
Well, you told us specifically about your left hand, right?
Yes.
And when you went to put up your left hand, according to you, he kicked you and he damaged your ring finger on the left hand, correct?
Yes.
And in fact, you even held it up for us, didn't you?
Yes.
And it was crooked when you showed it to us, wasn't it?
It's bent. Yes.
It's bent. Show us how bent it is again, ma'am. It's high so we can see it sideways. Ma'am, if he caused that damage on January 22nd of 2008, that would have been before this picture that we have here, which is exhibit number 453. It would have been about 5 months before that, right?
It was before that.
5 months, right?
4.
4 months then, right?
Yes.
You don't have a bent finger here in exhibit 453, do you?
My finger is bent there.
You're saying that your finger is bent there.
Yes. Just
Hold
the
up your
same.
finger again. Sideways so we could also see it.
But my fingers are straightened. This one stays.
And
bent.
that's what it looks like, your finger. And you're saying that's what happened on January 22nd, 2008, right?
Yes.
Now, one of the other things involving this particular finger, it seems to have had its run, if you will, of bad things happen to it, right?
This finger?
Yes, the left ring finger.
I don't know.
Well, you talked to Ryan Burns about it, didn't you?
Yes.
And you told him that that finger, the left ring finger, had been damaged, right? Injured, didn't you?
I don't know if it was the left.
You don't remember telling him it was the left ring finger?
No.
Do you have a problem with memory?
Occasionally.
And so some of the things that you told us, for example, then about other things in the past, you may have also had problems with your memory then, right?
Yes.
And so whatever you told us in the past is somewhat suspect then because your memory may be lacking.
You're actually an argumentative.
I only told things I remember clearly that are crystallized in my mind.
With regard to Mr. Burns, you do remember who he was, right?
Yes.
And you do remember that you went over to West Jordan to meet him, right?
Yes.
And you do remember that you did meet him that Thursday, and it was sometime around 11 o'clock in the morning, right?
I think so, yes.
And when you met him, you guys decided to go somewhere to a restaurant for some sort of business meeting, right?
Yes.
And during that time, didn't you have a bandage on your finger?
Yes.
And it was your left finger, wasn't it?
No.
It was your right finger then, right?
Is
that what you're saying? It was your right finger?
It was 2 right fingers.
So it was your right finger then, right?
It
Man, are you sure that it was your right finger?
was 2.
Pardon?
2 right fingers.
Do you remember then that you had a conversation with Detective Flores about this issue involving the finger?
Yes.
And do you remember that that was on July 16th of 2008?
Yes.
And did you remember that you told him that on June 4th, you had been over at Mr. Alexander's home, right?
Yes.
And you told him that you were over at Mr. Alexander's home and that some guy and some girl had come in, right?
Yes.
And during whatever happened on June 4th, you told Detective Flores that it was your left finger that had been damaged. Do you remember that?
Yes.
So you did tell that to the detective that it happened on June 4th, right?
Yes.
Does that then refresh your recollection and we'll play it so that we know what we're talking about?
Objection, he's already been into it.
We're moving it in, not for future purposes, just the landscape versus that one.
Approach from council.
Yeah, she just keeps lobbing them back, right? She thinks that she's winning. It's like I do think that she's approaching it like it's a game, and she thinks that she can outsmart him. I think that's exactly what's going on here. And she thinks that because she's so transactional, right? Like that's what she would be looking for. I think if she was a juror kind of thing, like she thinks that she's impressing the jury with her by having an answer for everything. You know what I mean? Like the fact that she can never ever admit to any wrongdoing or ever acknowledge bad behavior, right? Like the only mistakes that she will acknowledge making are ones that she made out of being naive, right? Oh, she was just so naive. And it was a mistake to get involved with these people, but it was only because she was so naive, and she was, it's like she's morally sound in every situation. And that kind of behavior doesn't work for people. If you can't admit to human fallibility and making stupid mistakes or doing stupid things or going, yes, I was jealous, I just felt so jealous, oh my God, it was totally upsetting, right? Like, everybody knows what jealousy feels like, right? And though you may tell yourself, whatever you need to tell yourself so that you don't act crazy because of your feelings, but she won't even admit to that, right? She's like, well, it might have been a little bit of jealousy, but really it was just this. Like, she has to be morally sound in every situation, and it's like her. It reminds me of her drawings, right? It's all surface, and you can't get a hold of anything, right? And yet she thinks that is it. It's all image, and she has no kind of idea. She's not warm at all, and she has no idea of the fact that it's kind of the frailty or the imperfections in people that make them human to us, right? That make them relatable. And she is not relatable in any way, and yet I feel like she thinks that she is. I think that she feels like she's winning. Yeah.
454 is admitted.
You said you were fighting with her.
Yeah.
What happened to you?
She got me.
Where at?
Me.
Let me see. Where at?
You actually can't see it. If you look at him, my finger isn't the same though. I was
Let me
really,
see. Where did it get cut?
conveniently, it was right on the crease.
Right there on the crease?
Can you see? Well, it's kind of a purple color, I
This
guess.
one here,
It's
right
through
there.
this.
You're right on the crease.
Well, there's a vein on this one, maybe. I don't know.
Is this one here? Yeah. So a slice there.
Yeah.
Just a small one? Or was it pretty deep?
I don't know how deep it was, but my finger hurt for a while.
Okay. So like right in that crease that you, right across both of them?
Not my middle finger. It cut this one a little, but not as much. This is where it really went. I don't know how it happened that all these other fingers were missed, but this one, I don't know. This one, like I still can't close this finger all the way. It's as close as it goes. Whereas this one goes like that.
Mhm.
Also, my CTR ring used to fit both fingers, and I can't get it on this finger anymore.
So they cut pretty deep then?
I guess if you feel it, squeeze it. It just feels like bone, like there's nothing abnormal there.
Mhm.
But again, like my CTR ring slides right on this finger, and it's just slide right off this finger. And I just can't fit a ring on here.
Okay.
It's a bigger size now.
What about this here? What's that from?
That's like, I'm pretty sure she scratched me a lot.
That tape or that videotape, right?
Yes,
And that's you having the conversation discussing the left ring finger, right?
yes,
And you demonstrated to Detective Flores that left ring finger, right?
yes,
And you told him that this woman during this attack on June 4th of 2008 cut you right there, didn't you?
yes,
And you showed him, and the finger, if we look at it there, had the same aspect or had the same angle to it that your finger does now, doesn't it?
yes.
Ma'am, the injury to your finger happened on June 4th, 2008, not January 22nd of 2008, did it?
That's not correct.
Ma'am, with regard to the story involving this particular issue, you told us that it happened on January 22nd of 2008, right?
Which issue?
The left ring finger.
Yes,
You then discussed it, or there was this issue with Ryan Burns, right?
which issue?
The cut finger.
The cut finger, yes.
And
Two
then
cut fingers.
on July 16th of 2008, you discussed it with Detective Flores, right?
Yes,
One of the things that you told Mr. Burns was that you cut it at Margaritaville while you were working there, right?
no, I did not say.
You never
that.
told him that then, right?
I said at work.
So you never told him Margaritaville then, right?
No, he said that.
Right, but you never told him that you cut it at Margaritaville, right?
No,
You told him that you cut it at work then, right?
yes,
And then when you spoke to Detective Flores, you gave him a different story. You didn't say that it was cut at work. You told him that it was cut some other way, right?
yes,
And then you testified about it in this court, right?
yes,
And you gave us another story of how this happened, right?
no,
Well, do you remember that you testified that you were at Mr. Alexander's home on June 4th of 2008 at the sink? Do you remember telling us that?
yes.
And do you remember telling us that you brought the glass in Mr. Alexander's house?
June 4th,
Whatever date you were there at Mr. Alexander's house.
I broke more than one glass at his house.
Ma'am, do you remember testifying yesterday about how you suffered this injury to your finger? Yes or no?
Not this finger.
No? Do you remember testifying that involving your finger, your left ring finger, yesterday, as a matter of fact, that was cut when you dropped the glass when you were at Mr. Alexander's house on the day that you killed him?
I did not indicate my left finger. I said my
Oh, so you
finger.
were saying it was your right finger that you cut in Mr. Alexander's house then, right?
It was my right finger, yes.
So throughout this whole thing, Mr. Burns, when he indicated what finger it was, he was mistaken. Well, no, he was mistaken. You're saying you never told Mr. Burns that it was the right finger that you cut, right?
We didn't discuss which hand.
Okay, so you never indicated to him in any way, shape, or form that it was the right finger.
Objection, ask him.
Sustained.
And on this issue of the 22nd of January 22nd, when you injured, when you say that you were injured, you kept the journal, didn't you? You kept the journal, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And you didn't write in it all the time, but you wrote in it some of the time, right?
Frequently, yes.
Frequently. And you were writing about what was going on in your life back in January of 2008, right?
Yes.
And you would write about things that were significant.
Some things.
Right. And in fact, with regard to this particular journal, you knew that you could almost write anything that you wanted in it because it was going to stay private, right?
No.
Well, ma'am, let me show you one of the part one of them.
You got to hear her talk to her mother on the prison calls, Mary. No little girl voice then. Yes, sir. Good boy.
Exhibit 242.001. You recognize it?
Yes, I do.
And that's your journal, right?
Sure is.
Okay, that's that.
Sure is.
Take a look at the entry, just read it to yourself, on Sunday, August 26th of 07.
The whole entry?
Just read the first 5 lines. 6 lines.
Yes.
You wrote that, right?
Yes.
Take a look at exhibit number 455. Is this a true and accurate copy of those 5 or 6 lines?
Yes.
And you wrote that back on August 26th of 07, right?
Yes.
Let me have that back, please. Move for the admission of exhibit number 4.
Oh, the anticipation is killing me. What's he gonna do? Chat just booted you. What does that mean? You got booted out of chat? How? What? What are we talking about? She reminds me of Christina, that one. What does that mean? You got chat booted you? How is that a thing? I've never heard of that. Good girl, Billy.
You may.
Well, this is definitely more fun than the direct. I don't know if I've even watched the direct of where she gets to the telling the actual Buddha for being too funny, where she gets to actually telling the story of the murder. Just glitches. Okay. Yeah, I've never heard of that, but then, I still don't know that much about YouTube. You would never know I had a channel. I still don't know what's going on half the time. I keep meaning to go back and look into things, but it just is. I am not all that interested in the whole technical side of things. I'm just interested in the true crime side of things. We could. There's some advice. I just thought they were going to be a second, but it seems like it is going on. Okay, yes. We'll move along. Oh, hang on. I'm not very good at that. There we go. Okay.
455 is admitted.
Take a look at elementary law 25:7. I'm done reading it. Let me know.
I'm going to have to look into this getting booted out of the chat business. I have no idea what that is. I'm sorry to hear that. This channel, you guys should check out this channel if you want to look for trials. They don't have that many followers, but they got a ton of trials. Are we talking about like saying something that you shouldn't say on YouTube and then getting booted? Is that what we're talking about? Is that, guys? Who will be booted next? I don't know how to fast forward through this. It's just too finicky. Hey, Zeitgeist, did you hear that Letitia Stoke won her appeal and she's getting a new trial? We're all appalled, of course.
Just this one entry.
Yes, just that one entry of August 26/07.
Okay.
I know you have 2 entries, but the first entry is the one we're talking
Yeah,
about.
it looks like I have 3 on that day.
Have you read the first entry that involves this particular snippet?
Yes.
Thank you.
There's no let's read all entries before answering the questions from us.
Overall.
Weird. I don't know what that's about.
This journal and your journals were meant to be private, right?
Yes.
And that's what it says there. Well, I guess it's a good thing that nobody else reads this because I write right now that I love Travis Victor Alexander so completely that I don't know any other way to be, correct? That's what it says.
Yes.
Do you remember when we started talking this morning that we talked about an incident where you went over to his house?
Yes.
And this was the incident that you referenced involving the killing, right? That it went through your head, right?
You're talking about the incident in August 2007?
Right, exactly.
Yes.
And that incident in August of 2007, where you went over and peeked inside of his house, happened before this entry here of Sunday, August 26th, 07.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's one. Peep.
What was the last thing you said?
He said, by saying peep.
Restate your question.
When you looked inside the house.
Yes, it did happen before this entry.
Right, and so really the reason why you confronted Mr. Alexander was not because he owed you an explanation or anything like that. The reason you confronted him back in August of 2007 was because you were in love with him and you didn't want to let him go, right?
Objection, argumentative.
That's not right. But I was in love with him.
Yes, you did write this though, didn't you?
Yes.
Now, you kept more than one journal, you kept a number of them, right?
I kept one journal at a time.
Okay, let's take a look at another journal.
She will.
There's no way across.
No, no, no.
There is an entry for Thursday, January 24th, 2008, right?
Yes.
So let's just take a look at it. See that?
Yes.
Let me mark another exhibit there. Take a look at exhibit 456. The exhibit that you have in front of you, that's the whole entry for January 24th, 2008, correct?
No, I believe this for the single one, yes.
There are other entries, but that's the complete entry for that one.
Yes.
right? Because it's written in blue ink, right?
Yes.
And the others are written in black, right?
Yes, the one following.
We move to the admission of exhibit number 456.
Oh my God, it's all being tedious now. What are they waiting for? What an absolute marathon it must have been for the jury. My God. She's trying for another appeal, you know. God.
Now, again, take a look at exhibit number 242002. We talked about the entry of January 24th of 2008. take a look at this journal. And isn't it true that the previous, in terms of chronological time, that the previous entry is on January 20th of 2008?
Yes,
So there's a gap of 4 days between the time you wrote on January 20th and on January 24th of 2008, right?
yes,
Nothing in between, correct?
not in the journal.
I'm asking about the journal, ma'am.
That's
Is there anything
correct.
else in front of you?
Ask and answer, Your Honor, argumentative.
The state.
In the journal, ma'am, there are no other entries between January 20th of 2008 and January 24th of 2008, right?
Yes,
If we then take a look at Exhibit 456, let's see what you wrote on Thursday, January 24th of 2008. You wrote, "I haven't written because there has been nothing noteworthy to report," correct?
yes,
Didn't you tell us, involving the finger, that this injury to your left finger, when Mr. Alexander went to kick you, that happened on January 22nd of 2008?
yes, it did.
And yet you write here that nothing noteworthy has happened, right?
Yes,
And then you also write that you turned down 4 offers for a date on Friday night, right?
yes,
You were free to date and so was he, right?
yes,
And then you finish it out by talking about going up to the snow, right? See that?
yes,
You're going to go up there skiing, you crossed it out, and you just are going to go up to the snow, right?
yes.
Did you go skiing?
No, I don't ski.
Pardon?
I don't ski. No, I didn't go.
All right. The entry of January 20th of 2008, take a look at exhibit number 42.02. Count the pages, please.
The pages between the two,
No, just your entry of Sunday, January 20th, 2008. Do you want me to show you where it is?
I have it. It's 4 and a few lines.
And it starts on the lower left-hand corner with 3 lines as you count the date, indicating January 20th of 2008, right?
Yes, I'm sorry, I misspoke. It's 5 pages and a few lines.
And in it, one of the things that you talk about is this issue involving Lonnie's baptism, right?
I haven't read it. Can I read it?
Sure, go ahead.
Lord God in heaven. It's taking her a very long.
Have you read the entire transcript that deals with the sexual encounter involving the Pop Rocks and the Tootsie Pops?
Yes, I started where you highlighted and finished it.
Read it above it. Does that have anything to do with the Tootsie Pops or the Rock Pops?
Didn't even read the right part. After all that.
Of the date that we're talking about, whether it was January 20th or January 21st or January 22nd, you do reference the Pop Rocks and Tootsie Pops sexual incident by reference to Lonnie's baptism, right?
Yes,
Ugh, this stuff is really boring.
Look at the page following that. That page
Sorry.
is there.
She needs to review it before she can answer
She's
the
looking
question.
at it.
maybe. Thank you.
No, no, ma'am. Don't turn the page. I just want you to look at that next page to see if you see a date.
Objection, Your Honor.
Oh, that's not the question. Overruled.
I didn't write a date.
No, there is no date on there, is there?
No,
Okay, let's turn the page. And that page is also in blue ink, right?
yes,
And there is no date on that next page, is there?
that's correct.
Then let's look at the page following that. That page, where you have your left hand on, that's also in blue ink. No, 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 you turn the page, go back. That's also in blue ink, correct?
Yes,
And there is no date on there either, is there?
that's correct.
Let's turn the page. And then on the next page, that's also in blue ink, correct?
Yes,
And there's no date on that either, right?
that is correct.
The next page after that contains the initials JA, right?
Yes,
That's for Jodi Arias, correct?
yes,
And that's also in blue ink, correct?
yes,
And there's no date in that one, is there?
there is not.
And if you turn the page, go ahead. There's an entry for January 24th of 2008, right?
Yes,
We can then go back, turn the page once. We're looking at the entry that says JA on it, right?
yes,
We go to the previous page, the one that you're pointing to. It does start, if I may have it back, with a word that's in quotations, right?
yes,
Exhibit number 458 includes that particular portion of the entry in quotation, right?
yes,
Then if we go to the previous page, at the bottom of the page, it's also in blue ink, right?
yes,
The entry that I'm showing you now includes that last paragraph, right?
second to last.
Second to last paragraph. Well, if you take a look at the bottom, you see that there's a
Oh,
word
I
that's,
apologize. You're correct.
okay? So in essence, what we're talking about is that the one with the word that's crossed out then travels on to the next page, and that's what's included in this entry, correct? In Exhibit 458, right?
Yes,
Along with the first page that includes the date, right?
yes,
And the entry, or Exhibit 458, references Lonnie's baptism, right?
yes.
Look at the initial.
All right, you need some additional time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take the noon recess at this time. Please be back in the jury room at 1:25. Remember the admonition. Have a nice lunch. You are excused.
Sorry, I'm blabbing away and I'm muted. I think I'm going to call it a day. We are at just about 2 hours, and I am starting to lose my focus here. I'm finding this diary stuff a bit tedious. So for the next one, I will cherry pick some good stuff for us to watch. I don't think I can manage to get through all of this testimony. It's days and days and days of it. So I'll find the good stuff and I'll put together a series of clips or something for the next one. Because I'm finding this too hard to. I don't know. It's just not. I'm sort of new at all this kind of YouTubing, as you know. So just trying to find what works for me and stuff. So yeah, I'm finding it. Yeah, anyways, I'm just tired and I'm ready to call it a day. So I appreciate everybody coming and hanging out with me again, and I will probably be back with you tomorrow because it is, dude, help me out here, because tomorrow is it's Good Friday, so there's no workings. So I am going to be able to spend some time putting together some clips. So anyway, yeah, it's all just growing pains for me over here. Every video is a new adventure in figuring out what I'm good at and what works and all the rest of it. So I'm super excited to have you guys along for the ride with me, and I really appreciate all of you. And yeah, so I'm gonna love you and leave you until next time. Thanks again. Bye.